same pattern. Tiki Barber and Brian Dawkins leveled.
That ball went out of here off the top of the wall. Chipper Jones just won the ball game.
We got 30 minutes for the rest of our life. 30 minutes.
Electrifies the crowd and is the beginning of a new order here in the NBA.
Time for another Hometown Heroes podcast brought to you by Lockett Law. Know before you blow. Dan Hick and Denny Thompson here. And we have a very special guest today, and one that if you follow basketball in these parts, you know the name James Collins. He is kind of Jacksonville basketball through and through. James, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, listen, I want to go right back to kind of the beginning. Well, it wasn't the beginning for you, but you first jumped on the scene at Southside Junior High School, if I remember correctly. And you were such a big deal. I mean, you were, I don't know, I think you averaged over 40 points a game one year. And I believe you even had to have a press conference to announce where you were going to go to high school. Tell me about all that at such a young age and dominating the area in youth basketball.
Well, actually, it started at Fort Carolina.
Okay.
My 7th grade year.
Uh-huh.
Back then, you had the 8th grade and the 9th grade, and I was in the 7th grade.
Okay.
Averaging 20 points for the varsity team over there in middle school. And then I ended up transferring to Southside and averaging 30 and being at 45 points a game in 9th grade.
Wait. He say 45?
45, I think he said.
Yeah.
So what was it like as far as, listen, without divulging too much, I'm sure every high school coach in the world wouldn't have minded having James Collins on his team. So tell me about how you ended up at Jackson.
Well, originally, I was gonna follow Coach Battles, who was my coach at Southside, to Reigns.
Okay.
I was thinking about it, but when I played summer league for Reigns, and we were beating everybody by 30, it wouldn't have been right. So Fletcher had a good team, Rebound had a good team, Reigns already had a monster team, and I just decided to go to Jackson because it would balance everything out and that all those could battle each other. So I just ended up going to my home school to balance things out.
Was that around the same time that Fletcher had – who was that Fletcher? Was that Cooper and
Andre Cooper,
Jeremy Hyatt.
And then Mandarin was really good. Like, because we're in the same era, right? I think you're like 2 years older than I am. And I can remember going to all those games, and it was like pure entertainment. Jacksonville was like a basketball city.
Yeah.
It was awesome, the amount of talent that came through here from that 4 or 5 year span.
But truthfully, most of us were football players.
Right.
Like, I just didn't play football in high school because Jackson was 0-10. That's the only reason why. And I went out there for 2 days. I was still going to play. Coach Simmons, basketball coach, told me don't go out there because it was chaotic. And I went anyway because my first love is actually football. And I watched it for 2 days. And I didn't. The one single reason I didn't play, the head coach was coaching everything. He was coaching offense, defense, special teams, and then I understood why they were losing.
But you know what? You're right though, because I'm thinking back, and it's like Mandarin. The two guys they had on the basketball court were Sam Cowart and Fred Weary.
Yeah, and Cooper and Hyatt. Hyatt was a quarterback, and Cooper was a receiver. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, man. There's a ton of dual sport basketball, football guys back then.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
We all started off in football. We played basketball, and we're basketball lovers, and a lot of us are really good at it, but we're all football players. Matter of fact, the late Corky Rogers, he never speaks to me. All he does is he never says hi. The first thing he says is, "You should have came and played football for me. You was a better football player than a basketball player."
Wow.
All he talks about.
So did you dominate on football fields as a middle? Did you play middle school or Pop Warner or that kind of football?
I played everything. Yeah, as a quarter.
Okay.
As a quarterback, running back, wide receiver at Southside. Dominated Pop Warner football. But I got like that because in my neighborhood in football,
right,
there was no junior pee-wee, and you played midget.
Mm-hmm.
So at 10 years old, you'd have to play with the 13-year-olds. So I tried out. They wouldn't let you play if you were under 10, and I tried out 2 years in a row at 8 and 9. They cut me because they said I was too young. And I ended up playing with those 13-year-olds. I was starting tight end. They didn't throw you the ball but 5 times a year. Like, I blocked the whole entire year.
Yeah, that's no fun.
There's no. Yeah, I caught 2 touchdowns out of 5 balls, but you don't get very many balls because you play with older guys, and you got a lot more better players. So you have to kind of wait your time.
We're visiting with James Collins. It's our Hometown Heroes podcast. Dan Hick and Denny Thompson, brought to you by Lee Lockett Law. Know before you blow. When you were at Jackson, and it's kind of cool that you went and sort of, as you said, even things out, but you excelled at Jackson, right? State champs. What was that like?
It's the greatest feeling. I'm still searching that as a coach.
Yeah.
I'm searching for that as a coach right now. We've lost 2 and lost in the Final Four another time. So
right.
I'm still searching for it. It's a wonderful feeling. I'd like to experience it again.
Yeah, there's no question about that. You went to Florida State. How was that recruiting process? Obviously had a lot of success there. Ended up getting drafted by, I believe, the 76ers in the second round. Just talk a little bit about your time at FSU.
Okay, I'm going to divulge something that nobody knows.
That's what I'm talking about, James.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Okay. I originally wanted to play for Clinton Haskins.
Okay.
At the University of Minnesota. I was in love with this guy. I liked his personality. I liked what he had going on at the University of Minnesota. I went up there on my visit, and my test score hadn't come in.
Okay.
And had that test score came in before I went on that visit, I would have signed with the University of Minnesota.
Wow.
But
it's cold up there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was willing to endure that because I just liked everything that was going on with Clem Haskins in his program. But another thing is I would have went to the University of Florida over Florida State. Nobody knows this. But Lauren Kruger doesn't have a personality. The guy simply wouldn't talk.
Right.
And I was a Gator fan. I was a Florida State fan at the same time when I was younger, but I was leaning towards the Gators because I knew Dimitri Hill and Andrew DeClerc and those guys. So,
I would have liked you on that team.
I was gonna go there, but Lauren Kruger stopped that. The guy had no personality. He's a great coach, but he didn't have a personality. Like he didn't really even talk when I met with him.
Right.
And that's what stopped me from going there. And Florida State was on fire. They went to 2 Elite Eight, and they were in the ACC, which at that time was the best college basketball conference in college basketball. So it was a no-brainer for me to just go ahead up there. They were doing really well, and I could relate to Pat Kennedy and Kenny Wilson and David Zimmeroff, who were both the assistant coaches. And so I ended up just going to Florida State.
I think the message that you can send to the kids, though, I mean, here you are, James Collins, and you are an incredible athlete, and you are as good as anyone in the area, as good as anyone in the state, as good as anyone in the country. You win a state championship at Jackson. You go to Florida State, and you're averaging 18 points a game at FSU. You get drafted into the NBA. It shows you how you play professional basketball for a long time, both in the NBA and obviously overseas. The message to the kids when you talk about these kids today, or any kids really, they think that it's, you said it, it's so hard to reach that level. You put the work in and we're able to accomplish that. But man, oh man, I mean, it's like hitting the lottery if you're going to play professional basketball and get paid to do that for a living, isn't it?
Oh yes, it's like a extinct animal, and there's only been 5,000 or more players to play in the NBA. I know it's been a long time, and that league has been a long time, but think about that.
Yeah.
It's only been a little over 5,000 people to play in the NBA. That's a small percentage. But the thing that they don't tell you about the NBA is the business side.
Right.
See, everyone hears about, oh, this guy had a great career. They don't tell you about the guys like myself. I get drafted by the Clippers, who had only one pick in the NBA draft that year, and they drafted Maurice Taylor with the 13th pick. Then they give up a little money and a draft pick to get me in the second round, to only tell me that coach said he doesn't like to play rookie, so I'm never going to play.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead, James.
I only played in 23 games that year.
Right.
Out of 82 games.
Right.
And the guy kept his word. I played in my first experience of going in the first half when we were about 30-something games into the season.
Wow.
And Bill Fitch gets mad at James Robinson and sends him to the locker room because he wanted him to play like John Stockton. But James said, shit, John Stockton don't want to play like me. I don't care. So he sends him to the locker room. They call me JC. Well, I go in the game. I scored 12 points in 12 minutes.
Right.
I don't miss a shot. I didn't play the next 20 games.
Wow. That's tough on a young guy, huh?
The NBA is weird, man, because you hear that, but then at the same time, you see these guys these days who just stay in the league for 12 or 14 years.
Yeah. Get
these big contracts, James, and it's like, I didn't even know they were still in the league. I haven't seen them do anything forever. What is it about the NBA? Is it like, looking back on it, is there a formula to staying in, or is it just kind of the luck of the draw?
I'll give you a story.
Okay.
I tried out for the Memphis Grizzlies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the Grizzlies' leading scorer in the preseason, second in assists, third in rebounding in the preseason.
Okay.
I coming off of 18-8-8 out of Sacramento, they cut me. They bring me in. The guy, Billy Knight, GM. Sidney Lowe was the coach. Sidney Lowe says, I got one thing to say before I leave here. He said, you guys want me to win, but won't let me keep the players that I need to win. And he's like, the hell with this. And he walked out. So Billy Knight tells me that they're cutting me because of the luxury tax. Well, the luxury tax didn't start till the next year. And I wasn't making enough money to affect the luxury tax. I was only making $675,000 at that time. So that's not even a scratch in the bucket.
Right.
To a luxury tax. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even making $1 million. So I knew the business, but how can you fight that?
Right.
You can't fight some other GM want another player and don't like you. I mean, you can't fight that. And I was averaging at that time in the preseason 15 points, maybe like 6 rebounds, and
Right.
4 or 5 assists in 29 minutes. And you get cut.
What do you do? Right.
So I stopped doing it because I got tired of the politics.
Sure.
You know, I can take, if you tell me I'm not good enough, go work on this, go work on that. I can take that.
Right.
But when the politics part comes in and they don't cut you because you're not good enough, it's some other thing or whatever they have in their mind, and that's how it is.
So I'm looking at your career history. And I'm just curious on this, James, real quick. Obviously not the way you planned it, but you ended up playing in a lot of different places. Talk about just the life experience you got out of going. I mean, a bunch of places you probably would not have ever gone if it not for basketball, right?
Of course. My upbringing, I was a poor kid out the Blodgett home in the east side of Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
So I was already used to adversity. You know, you're poor, you go through a lot of ups and downs. So my basketball career was easy because I was already built for the ups and the downs of basketball because of my upbringing. But I got to experience some great cities, meet some great people, play a lot of great basketball against a lot of good people, and it was wonderful. I tell kids all the time what basketball afforded me is an opportunity that, who knows, I may have probably never had. I've seen pretty much half of this country. I mean, the whole entire world. I've probably been to over half of the countries in the whole entire world. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I wasn't playing basketball. I've seen places that people are probably never going to experience or see, and done things that, you know, a lot of folks are not going to be able to do. So I'm just thankful to God that I was able to experience that. But like I tell these kids, you can experience it too. You got to put in the work.
Right, right. Well, it's a great story, and we appreciate you telling it. And here's hoping you get that feeling again of being a state champion. I know, Jack, you got them good every year, and I've watched you guys compete with a lot of good schools in this area and advance. So looking forward to watching you guys again coming up this year. James Collins, thank you so very much. It's our Hometown Heroes podcast. Dan Hicken and Denny Thompson, brought to you by Lockett Law. Know before you blow. James, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.